YouTube should be ready, and then all you gotta do is go to that and hit that go live button, and then that should be ready theoretically, and then you gotta make sure you hit record.
We are live.
Awesome. I can hear the computer because there's a mic down there. Can you unplug that mic?
Yes, I also can hear it.
The computer sounds like it's about to take off.
It sounded very loud.
Yeah.
Last week too, when we were.
Oh, did it?
Okay.
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 Here's the deal.
Record.
Everything else should be ready to go.
Don't even know why we recorded these. They're all on.
Just in case.
Yeah.
Just
it's
in
a
case.
backup. Backup.
It's always good to have a backup.
Backup. Hey,
Good.
back up.
Fair.
Ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Today, I am here to give you the assurance that I have not forgotten you.
If we want to see the new evangelization become more than just jargon, if we want to see it grow legs and gain traction and change the world, we have got to take seriously our responsibilities as husbands and fathers, and especially as sons of God.
I want to propose to you then that something that our world is desperately in need of in the midst of this crisis is Catholic Christian masculinity.
If you want to be a good father, then bring your children to confession with you.
I can't get there unless I become a man of ascesis, a man of asceticism, a man of training.
A man not doing penance, a man not disciplined, is not a man.
You guys have upped your game.
You know what, guys? I gotta say, I love the concept of Man Show.
Warning: the Catholic Man Show is about to begin.
Welcome to the Catholic Man Show. We're on the Lord's team, the winning side, so raise your glass. Happy Advent or Merry Christmas, depending on when you're listening to this.
Yeah. Dude, it's coming up.
Can't wait.
I love Jesus.
I'm a big fan. I had a little bit of Advent caroling this evening with Anna and a couple of her little flower
How'd it
shapes.
go? What was your lineup?
So we started off with Joy to the World.
Okay.
Then we went to Jingle Bells.
Yeah.
Then we went to O Come All Ye Faithful.
Mm.
Then we wish you a Merry Christmas.
What's your favorite Christmas song?
That is a good question.
Yeah. I know a lot of your mood has a lot to do with, like your favorite song's kind of like at the time often, but do you have a favorite?
I don't think so.
I have a favorite.
What is it?
Why I ask. God rest ye merry, gentlemen.
That's not. It's a deep track.
It's just a great song.
It's a deep track for Christmas.
Yeah, it's fun to sing. It's like real Christmas music.
Yeah, I don't know what my favorite. You know what? I'll be honest with you. Don't like a lot of Christmas songs.
Really?
No.
There are some Christmas songs I don't like. And for instance, I believe I'm on record hating a particular Christmas song, which is also one of the most popular Christmas songs of all time, Feliz Navidad. I think that song is stupid. I don't know why anybody likes it. It's like, okay, you know what it reminds me of is that song, Jesus is my friend. I have a friend in Jesus. Jesus is my friend. It's like, yeah, let's just say the same thing over and over and over again.
You would not like
Feliz Navidad.
You would not like Boomer Sooner then.
It's like they sing the Feliz Navidad, like, ooh, that hit well. Let's do that again. Feliz Navidad. Ooh, keep it going. Feliz Navidad. It's like, gotcha. Thank you.
Yes, we understand.
What a shallow song. Like, it's a great thing to wish someone Merry Christmas. I just think that song is stupid.
Fair.
Ivanka Trump, when she was first lady, Melania. I'm sorry.
Whoa.
I know. That's a big mistake. Oh, you just definitely don't want to do that in front of the guy. Yeah. Anyway. Now my story is going to sound weird because I was about to say, the moment where I really, liked her and I got her name wrong. But, she was in the White House. They asked her what her favorite Christmas song was. Didn't miss a beat. She said Silent Night. And I was like, yes.
Yeah, I like that one. I do like that one.
And that was just like, that's a good one to have as your favorite Christmas song. Anyway, don't like Jingle Bells, really. I find that one annoying.
It's the one that all the kids,
every kid
it's
loves Jingle Bells, and I'm fine with kids.
Right, and you have
I get
they
it.
have the sleigh bells, and they get to ring them as they
Right.
do it, and that's like the fun part for them. Now,
It just doesn't really have anything to do with Jesus.
I will tell you this
know?
though. Ironically, when I say I don't really like a lot of Christmas songs. Really big fan of caroling.
Oh yeah.
I know we talked about
Just
this last
the
year.
joy. People answer the door, and they're like, "Oh, I'm being Christmas caroled too."
We went. I think we went 8 for 8 tonight. All home. No, I think we were probably 10.
Were you going like getting in the car, going to one person's house?
No, we walked.
Okay, so you're just in one area
Mhm.
and only 10 houses.
Yes. We picked like if they had Christmas lights on. We went there. You didn't have Christmas lights on. We skipped your house.
You're a Scrooge.
Yeah. So, but we went 10 for 10. No one shut the door on us. Everybody opened that we knocked on, and just seeing the joy that it brings. It is such an easy thing to do.
Yeah, like we've had people cry.
Right. And I don't know. I mean, to me, like those are the moments where you realize, as Christians, it's not that hard to evangelize.
Yeah, and it does take a little bit of effort to organize, and get people like, hey, this is what we're going to do, pick out a system, we're going to do this. It takes a little bit of effort. Not a whole lot.
Right.
But it does
to
take
bring
a
Christ's joy to
execute.
others.
But man, it's actually very easy to do.
And it also is a memory built, like a tradition that your kids will remember growing up.
When you start off, you're like a little bit nervous. I remember when we started doing it the first time. It's like, how's this gonna go?
Right.
You realize.
Hey, are you gonna come over to the neighborhood still? And
I would love to. We need to do it this week.
Yeah, I know it's gonna get cold.
Because next week you guys, I know your family plans get crazy after Christmas. But,
right.
Because it could. You become very aware. This could go very badly.
Right.
This could really bomb.
And hopefully it doesn't scar emotionally with the kids.
Some really embarrassing, people slamming the door in your face and like, okay, I feel the Christmas spirit now,
Right.
But in our experience, at least here in good old Oklahoma,
America,
it was just amazing.
Yeah, it really
Every
is.
time we've done it.
My Anna is a big fan of it. She loves singing. She loves performing in general. She takes after her mother in that way.
Right. Real class clown. Yeah.
Not at all. But she does love it.
Well, Haley isn't.
Haley.
Anna.
That's what I'm saying.
Anna.
Yeah.
The other day I told my kids, well, you're the class clown. You're the only one in your class. So you must be the class clown.
You got to be. And the valedictorian.
Yeah. And then I told him that, and it said also you're the dumbest one in your class. When I said that,
really,
Mary looked at me like, "What?" It's like, well, you're the only one once again. So,
and you questioning this
you're
really
the smartest
confirms
and the dumbest. See, told you.
Yeah. All right, nothing about a confidence booster. Okay, so tonight we're gonna drink a new. They used to do every year come out with a different type of limited edition, limited release.
Yeah.
They used to call it something different, but now they call it Tale of the something. So now this is Tale of the Forest.
Do you know what it was last year?
Glenmorangie. I know Glenmorangie. Like,
yeah.
I like Glenmorangie. That's how I'm going to say it. Somebody else may get upset with me because it may say Glenmorangie. Whatever. I don't care.
I thought it was Glenmorangie.
Well, just a bit. I mean.
Okay. Whatever.
Yeah.
You know what we're talking about.
So it's a Highland Scotch. It's Tale of the Forest. I think the last one was Tale. It was called like Tale of the Winter something. I don't remember.
Okay.
But this one is unique because he brings in woodland botanicals into the mix.
What is a botanical?
Like flowers. Right? Yeah, flowers.
Do they put flowers in?
Now, I tried to look that up, and they said they don't know exactly how they incorporate it into the distilling process. So I don't know exactly.
It's just not public information.
Yeah, at least not where I was, looking. But it has juniper berries, birch bark, heather blossoms. The result of this single malt is as lush as the forest itself. Aromas of pine and juniper are laced with wisps of smoke. Notes of deep green eucalyptus, lit by rays of bitter orange, drift into a gentle oaky finish. We're on the Lord's team.
The winning side.
So raise your glass.
Cheers to Jesus.
Cheers. Cheers, Jim.
It has a really interesting finish.
So on the nose,
no, that's not what I was expecting.
on the nose, it does have a little bit of smoke, but not a heavy, dense peat smoke. More of a campfire smoke, a little ways away.
100 feet away. Okay, I don't pick up any smoke, but
Yeah, it definitely has
I
some.
believe you.
So anyway, it's about $90, $85 to $95 depending where you live, but it's the limited release. So they always try to do something a little different. The limited releases are
very light. It's light on the palate.
46%, but they always try to do something, unique.
Yeah.
Kind of push the envelope is what most of these people do.
Yeah, and you're almost always going to pay more for some of these limited releases,
Sure,
but if you really like Highlands, Glenmorangie is really you can't miss. I think with Glenmorangie, everything that they put out is like, wow, all right, that's good. Now it might be more than you want to pay for it sometimes, but they have they have plenty of stuff that's in the 40 to 60 range. It's not
correct.
Not all of their stuff is expensive.
Their La Santa is really, really good.
Yeah, that one is good.
If you like sherry casks, it's really good.
But isn't that interesting?
This is an interesting. Yes,
doesn't taste like what I expected it to anyway.
It has the heather really it comes out more so than the juniper. Like I thought the juniper.
I like to try to work the word heather into my daily conversation. I'm not very good at it.
Yeah, I haven't heard you say it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Probably ever.
Bad.
Yeah,
but it's something I try to do.
Jim, on the yummy scale, what do you think?
It's like 4 yummies.
Four yummies.
Now,
I don't even know what that means.
Now remind me, Jim, because I think it used to be like out of 3.
I don't know what 4 yummies mean.
I do know that we recently updated the updates
the yummy
were made.
scale.
Yeah, like everybody got like a thing where they had to. The terms and conditions had been changed.
Right.
You get the email.
I just hit accept. I didn't read it.
It's like
I'm sorry, I didn't read it.
You have being
like
notified.
Everything else.
But out of how many yummies, approximately? 4. So it's 4 out of 4 yummies. Oh wow! You heard it, folks, right here on the Catholic Man Show. 4 out of 4 yummies for Glenmorangie, A Tale of the Forest.
For Jim, Juan's not here, so we can't get his opinion tonight. So.
Wow.
All right, we're talking about the Incarnation tonight. Is that correct?
Yes.
Talking about Jesus.
I love Jesus.
Big fan.
Especially baby Jesus.
I like adult Jesus.
Yeah, he's cool too.
Nothing against baby Jesus either.
To be fair, I said, yeah, he's cool too. As if like he wasn't on. I did.
You know what? That came off a little wrong.
That's not exactly what I meant. But
yeah.
I was trying to emphasize that I like baby Jesus.
Right.
Can you imagine how cute he would have been? It's weird to think about God as cute.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds actually like belittling.
Yeah.
But he would have been cute. I just know it.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Like, do you think he had fat cheeks?
He was a fat baby?
I hope so. Like
fat babies are really cute.
A skinny baby Jesus. He deserves to be a fat baby. You know what I mean? It seems less fitting for him to be a skinny baby. Now, he also could have been a skinny baby out of like humility. Like
do you think
born into
Jesus
poverty
needed it?
Born into poverty. I mean, he's
for
God.
For the sake of St. Joseph, maybe?
He knows he's God the whole time. Like he's a baby, but he still knows. Like it's not like he didn't know what was going on because he's a baby. He still knew.
His divine,
although
his divine nature did know. It depends on what nature.
That is one thing that I do find a little confusing about. Because on the one hand, he humiliated himself by becoming man and still allowed himself to need to learn things.
Right.
But simultaneously knew everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yep. 2 natures.
2 natures.
1 person.
1 person. What a mystery.
Under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
1 nation to rule them all. I will always think. In fact, now whenever I say the Pledge of Allegiance, which is not very often in my life, I always think about that. One nation
To rule them all.
And all the nation-building politicians in the country go, yeah! Okay, are you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Welcome back to the Catholic Man Show. I'm David Niles, here with Adam Minahan and Jim Bo Baggins in the house. We are San Juan today. Oh, there's Jim's hand. You can see it. What a nice hand. So we are talking about the Incarnation today, drinking a little bit of Glenmorangie, A Tale of the Forest.
You can go check us out on the YouTubes. Subscribe.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to somebody just the other day who said, wait, your whole episode isn't uploaded to the podcast? No, it's not. In between segments, you would be able to get on YouTube. You do not get on podcast.
You don't get the most sarcastic remarks.
Right.
Or
heretical ones.
Yeah, well, you don't get those hopefully ever, unless they're once again done sarcastically. But you get some good behind the scenes stuff, commentary.
If you ever think, do they really act that way all the time?
Yeah,
it gives you the opportunity.
Go check it out.
Jim's like, yes.
Okay, so talking about the Incarnation today, I think for obvious reasons, we're on the precipice of the Christmas season. That's another word I try to work into my daily life. A lot better at pulling that one off
than Heather.
Yeah.
Your wife probably appreciates that more too. Who's this Heather you're always talking about?
He's been talking about Heather lately. I think I should be nervous. But we stand on the precipice of the Christmas season.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Second most joyful season of the year. Obviously, Easter. Can't beat Easter.
Cannot beat that.
But Christmas brings its own flavor of joy.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Just because, it's like such a hopeful season. Easter, to me, obviously Easter is a hopeful season, but not in the same way, right? Because you're standing there on Easter, Christ is risen. It's done, baby. There's nothing to hope for now. I mean, like, not that you just don't need hope because, hey, he did it. He pulled it off. You still need a hope for your own salvation, right? But the salvation has been won at that point. The price has been paid. It's ready.
Mm-hmm.
The grace is just sitting there waiting for you to cash in. And the Easter season, it's like, all right, the Messiah is born, and you look forward to his mission on earth with a lot of hope.
Does your prayer life look different in the two different seasons?
Yes, it does. I do try to, ponder those mysteries. Like the other day, not very recently, we had the Immaculate Conception, the Solemnity of the Immaculate Conception. And I was really struck that day just about how great Our Lady is, our mother, and how we as the rest of humanity just don't deserve her. She was made and given all of these special graces in view of the Incarnation and the saving work of Christ on the cross. And she was made specifically to be the mother of Jesus. Okay, she's his mother. She's the mother that he deserved, not that she was worthy of him. But she was a perfect mother, okay? And Christ deserved a perfect mother. The rest of us don't, okay? And yet, on the cross, as he's sitting there giving us everything, he even gives us his mom. Like literally everything he had to give, he gave to us on the cross.
St. John had to be nervous about that.
I have no idea. I just cannot even imagine what he was feeling.
Behold your mother, John. And he's like, okay. Knowing how amazing she is.
I mean, and also just think about it, that they would have known her, all of them would have known her personally. And what that must have been like for them to know Mary and, I mean, obviously to know Jesus.
Right.
But the relationship and the insight, this is why Mary is so important, the insight into who Jesus was from knowing Mary. Mary is important because of Jesus. If there's no Jesus, Mary's not important.
Mm-hmm.
she's not important in and of herself. We honor her because of her relationship with. I mean, Mariology is Christocentric.
Correct.
You know that Mary, we honor her, and she's so important in your spiritual life because of her role with Jesus. So
same with all the saints
and the
right?
saints, all of it.
I mean, to a lesser degree.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, hyperdulia, dulia. Like,
right.
I'm not.
Yeah, same in kind,
right?
In less degree.
Less in, yeah.
Yeah. So, but just the fact that he gave us his mother.
Yeah.
You know. So yes, my prayer life. I try to enter into the season, you know, with wide varying degrees of success. What about you?
Yes, I continue to have in my silent meditation this vision, this my imagination working through in my prayer of her welcoming me into the into the cave or into the manger scene, and then like showing me towards the manger and like letting me like adore Jesus, and like her putting her hand on my shoulder and like St. Joseph right behind me as well, like, and we're all like there adoring baby Jesus.
Yeah.
And I don't know like why but that's just always like what my meditation looks like during this time. It's the same thing basically every time. Sometimes I get a little bit of just a little bit of insights in varying ways, but most of the time it's just the exact same thing.
So this is, I think, why it's so important to cultivate a healthy imagination as an adult. Because if your mind is just constantly distracted by screen time, by entertainment, by noise, then your mind is not free to play. In heaven, I've been told, will be like play, like we will be at play in heaven.
Like true rest.
Yeah, like a real leisure. And so if your mind is distracted, if you don't cultivate the imagination, but with good stories, with silence, all the things that we've talked about so many times.
Yeah, I mean, like Mary has this beautiful warm glow about her. St. Joseph is like looking at him, like looking down, like super proud as a proud dad, like adoring at Jesus. You have hay and manger scene. I mean, it's just like it's very vivid in my imagination. Happens the same way basically every time.
I have images like that in my they never change, but they never grow tired either.
Let me tell you, it's much more relaxing than my meditations during Lent. It's exhausting.
Yeah.
Because meditating basically on like the agony of the garden, scourging of the pillar, the crowning of thorns, like all these, like the Stations of the Cross.
It's a little overwhelming. There's just so much there. In the beginning, I think when you first start praying the Rosary, the sorrowful mysteries are the easiest to meditate on because there's
without a doubt
there's meat to grab onto, right? Like everybody knows suffering,
right? You can relate to.
But yeah, like then as you get more practiced at it, it's like, you know what? I prefer the joyful.
It's a little bit more, yeah. Right. Can you imagine though, after Mary, saying yes and being conceived through the Holy Spirit, and then the Holy Spirit telling her, or the angel telling her, you're now going to go to Elizabeth, and all this is happening to her and to Joseph, and she still puts other people's needs ahead of her own. She's carrying the Christ child. She's probably like, I would be, at least in my imperfect nature, like very anxious and like wanting to get things ready and think like I would be worrying about myself.
No, I need to stay like here
and get ready. But she says, no,
can't risk it.
I want to, I'm going to be there for other people. So like that's a beautiful thought, I think, in like when you're meditating the visitation.
I've often wondered about like, kind of surprised that St. Joseph let her go. Because she would have needed to ask permission from him before she just left.
I would assume he went with her.
I don't think I don't know. Maybe he did. I kind of feel like the tradition is that she went by herself, but
that just doesn't seem likely. Like traveling by yourself.
Well, women would have. I mean, this was a common practice culturally at the time, where family members, when you were pregnant, they would come and stay with you for a kind of an extended period. We help you get ready for the baby. The men. I mean, maybe he went, dropped her off, and came back. That could. But yeah, the men weren't going to be going and staying. They got work to do.
But she may have been like, you think she had morning sickness?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Didn't seem.
I'm guessing that she did not have any of the like common sufferings that go along with pregnancy because.
Well, at least discomfort. She had to have a discomfort. Like being pregnant is uncomfortable. I'm assuming it looks uncomfortable at times.
But so like
it's also hot.
A lot of those,
seems like it's very hot.
A lot of the pains that go with childbirth, maybe even the discomfort, are as a result of original sin. She was conceived without it, so maybe she didn't. Maybe she bore it effortlessly. I don't know. One thing I really like to do is go back to a book I've mentioned many times. It's called The Life of Mary as Seen by the Mystics, and read that, like, basically from the Annunciation up to the Nativity this week. It's something is on my agenda, just because you get a lot of this insight that Mary gave to these mystics about her own life personally, and like her own interior disposition in certain moments, and how she was feeling, what thoughts she was dwelling on. They are there trying to find an inn, and Mary is sitting there rejoicing that they don't have a place to stay, that they get to like live out poverty. It was very important to her, and she was encouraging Joseph, like, this is, great, good. We can continue to live this mission that we've
just trusting God,
dedicated ourselves to. And
that's awesome. Yeah.
And just her obedience to Joseph is so inspiring.
Did you know Paul Thigpen just put out a new book by Tan called he did the same thing but with St. Joseph.
Oh, really?
St. Joseph's Life as Seen by the Mystics. And he compiled everything.
No kidding.
Yes. In fact, we're going to have him on the Catholic Man Show next year.
Yeah.
In October, I believe. We're going to have him come out. He's going to give a talk, come on the Catholic Man Show, talk about the mystical visions of St. Joseph.
That's so amazing. I'm going to have to get that book right away.
Okay. Let's keep talking about Jesus on the other side of this break.
Great idea.
Brian McNavish asked if it complimented you on your sweatshirt, and I said I'd ask if you ever see any left. Are those?
Those are. Thank you, Brian McNavish.
I think so. It may be Father. I'm not sure.
Oh, Father McNavish, maybe possibly. Thank you for the compliment on the sweatshirt. It is available, I believe, on our website. Make Plato's Cave allegorical again. You can look at that.
I also love that sweatshirt.
Our new website, our new sweatshirts, hopefully will be in this week. I'm praying.
I'm excited about our new sweatshirts too. So are these still available?
I believe so.
On our site.
Mm-hmm. Although Spring just raised the pricing. It's not us raising the price. It's them raising the price.
Well.
So, I don't know. I think it's like $42 now.
Gonna make a political comment, but I won't.
Look at your prudence.
It's gonna be slightly in jest, but only slightly. But I won't make it, Adam.
Don't even tempt me. All right, let's keep going.
Oh man.
Welcome back to the Catholic Man Show. Sipping on a little Glenmorangie Tale of the Forest, Highland single malt Scotch.
I think this is getting even better as I sip on it more and more. Sign of a good Scotch. Some Scotches, you dive into and you're like, wow, that's awesome. And then as you like continue to enjoy it,
they really
kind of loses some of its initial fervor.
Mm-hmm.
To me, this is
persevering,
settling in a nice direction.
Nice, I agree. I think it's good. I think it's great. I think it's good.
Yeah, I would have trouble buying it personally just because of the price tag.
Mm-hmm.
I'd have trouble buying it for myself. I'd probably be more likely to buy it for someone else. I don't know if...
Are we still going to do the baby bottle, by the way?
Oh, man, I totally forgot about that. Yes. Yes, we need to.
Okay. Anyway, we'll talk about that off.
Don't let me forget.
I just did.
I mean, I'm going to need more help. Okay. So, let's talk about the Incarnation.
Big fan. Also a big fan. I was telling you before we started this is like anytime we talk about the Incarnation, because I actually just talked about this with Bishop Condola on my other podcast that I have, Tulsa Time with Bishop Condola.
I cannot. You know what? I still feel a little betrayed about that.
That I didn't invite you on?
No, that you have another podcast. I thought we had something special. And now I realize that, nope, that you'll just have a podcast with anyone.
Like a bishop. Like a successor to the apostles.
I'm just saying.
Right. And...
No, actually, everyone should check it out. It's a great podcast. Really, the bishop, I'm just always impressed by Bishop's comments. I'm a big fan of our bishop. And especially if you're in the diocese, you kind of have you don't have a duty. But, you know, I think, hey, your bishop is producing a podcast, and it's very short.
Yep.
You know, you got kind of no excuses not to listen to it. So,
yeah, and you know, we talked actually about this very topic, you know, the Incarnation, and he brought up many good points as he does,
as he's apt to do.
But I just it helped me to recollect all the beauty that that John Paul II gave us in his writings. To help us understand.
The Incarnation is kind of his sweet spot.
Right. I mean, that was like his first encyclical, right?
Right.
In fact, I have it right here. The Redeemer of Man, Redemptor Humanus.
What is it?
Hominus? I don't know.
Hominus?
Hominus. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not a Latin guy.
Yeah. I tried, but I'm not.
Right. Redeemer man though, but you know, and this was like his very first thing that he was talking about, like how, you know, Christ fully reveals himself to man by becoming human. Like he
Christ fully reveals man to himself and makes his supreme calling clear.
Right. Yeah. And
by virtue of the Incarnation, the theology of the body entered the scene through the main door.
Through the main door, yeah. That's Christopher West right there.
No, but that was him quoting John Paul II.
Okay. Yeah. And so, so I mean, he just gives us this understanding of the dignity that we have as human, because we're made in the image.
It's incredible.
Right. The image and likeness of God.
Yeah.
Right. And that we have this beautiful dignity given to us as a gift. And so this is why sin is such a terrible thing, right? Because we're selling our dignity for something so much less than what we are. Right, you know, so when we, look at pornography, or we, backbite, or we, belittle our wives or our children, or we steal, or whatever whatever sin it is,
or become gluttons.
Yeah, become gluttons. Let our appetites, control us. We're selling our dignity for something that's so cheap.
Yeah,
that's not really human. That's not fully human, and it's very hard to understand this. If you don't understand the gift that God gave us to give his son to us to come as a human into this world.
And I think a lot of people don't they're just not familiar with it. I was going to say don't understand it. I mean, I'm not sure I understand it, but I think a lot of people just are not even aware of the personal significance of the Incarnation, right? That they think, oh yeah, well, Jesus came to save us, and he did. But, apart from the fact that, I have the grace, I have now the grace of forgiveness available to me for my sins, it doesn't really have anything to do with me. That's something he did. So I want to try to get to that today, because that's obviously that's the important part of the Incarnation. I thought it might be fitting to start with some Aquinas.
Man, I love Aquinas.
He's pretty great.
I wish that I understood him better.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, so does everybody. But speaking of fittingness, I'm going to ask you the questions that he asks himself. And I want to see if you get close to the thing that he says.
Okay.
The first question is whether the Incarnation was fitting.
my answer would be I answer that.
Mm-hmm.
And
Very good.
And then I would say the right answer.
Very good. So far, you're 100%.
And then I would say the right answer.
Yeah. So he says yes. He says yes, it was fitting.
Mm-hmm.
He asks another question whether it was necessary. Okay, so but first, let's say if it was fitting.
Yes, but it would be necessary. I mean, he could do it in many different ways.
Right. That's what he says. Well, he says it was necessary and it wasn't necessary. But on the question of fittingness, he says to each thing that is befitting, which belongs to it by reason of its very nature. Thus, to reason befits man, since this belongs to him because of his rational nature. But the very nature of God is goodness, and it is clear that from Dionysus, what belongs to the essence of goodness befits God, but it belongs to the essence of goodness to communicate itself to others, as is plain from Dionysus. Hence it belongs to the essence of the highest good to communicate itself in the highest manner to the creature, and this is brought about chiefly by his so joining created nature to himself that one person is made up of these three, the Word, a soul, and flesh. St. Augustine says, so basically he says, yes, it was fitting because it was like the best way to do it. He could have done it. Then the next question he asks is whether it was necessary for the restoration of the human race that the Word of God become incarnate.
So I would say, I would answer that. It is not necessary, but like you said, because it's fitting, it is the best way.
Yeah, I really like his answer here. Sometimes his answers are kind of hard to understand. That last one is like, can you say it without so many, can you just say it plainly? This one,
why don't you talk to me like I'm 5?
Right. This one he answers plainly. A thing is said to be necessary for a certain end in 2 ways. First, when the end cannot be without it, as food is necessary for the preservation of human life. And secondly, when the end is attained better and more conveniently, as a horse is necessary for a journey. Obviously, it's less good of an example these days, right? So you can see how, but that's still 2 different ways. And so he's, in the first way, it was not necessary that God should become incarnate for the restoration of our human nature. For God, in his omnipotent power, could have restored human nature in many other ways.
Right, but he did it this way to show us how much, in his eyes, how much dignity we have, how valuable we are to him.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think he did it this way because it was the way,
or how much he how much he loved.
This is
us.
the way. Yeah, this is the way that involved the most love.
Love, right? That's a better way to put it than.
Yeah. So he says in the second way, it was necessary.
Sorry,
that
my chops are a little off tonight.
That's okay. He said it was necessary that God should become incarnate for the restoration of human nature, just because it was the most convenient for his purposes, to show humanity how much we are loved. Okay, so if man had not sinned, would God still have become incarnate?
That's a wonderful question.
Mm-hmm.
It's a wonderful question because Christ came to redeem. If there was no need to redeem, would he still need to come? I don't know. I don't know. My inclination would be that he didn't necessarily need to come to redeem purposes, but he would need to come to show us what true love is, like to see a physical manifestation of what love is.
Sure. So I'm also on the yes side because of there's one word in Genesis that makes me think the answer is yes. Now, I am not a Hebrew scholar. I cannot read Genesis in Hebrew, and I have no idea if this specific distinction exists in the original text or not. But in the English, when God is speaking to the snake, he says, "I will put enmity between you and the woman."
Right.
He doesn't say, "I will put enmity between you and a woman."
Right.
So
and the woman is
the
Mary.
woman. Right. He's obviously speaking of Mary, but he says it as if there already is a woman in mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
If he said like, "Oh, great, you know what? As a result, I will put enmity between you and a woman, and her offspring will crush you will strike at her heel," But he says the woman,
right?
So to me, that implies this was not a change of plan. This was always the plan. Okay, now Aquinas does not specifically reference that verse, but he takes the negative. He says he gives a good. I think he gives a good answer here. He says, I answer that. There are different opinions about this question. For some say that even if man had not sinned, the Son of Man would have become incarnate. Others assert to the contrary, and our assent ought rather to be given to this opinion. I'll finish this on the other side of the break, because he gives why. But
Well, I go with Aquinas then.
I mean, he says though there are differing opinions, and this is just one.
When I don't know, I go with Aquinas.
Yeah, I mean, safe territory. I mean, if you're into that kind of thing.
Clearly you're not.
Dangerous theology.
Yeah, so the question would be, though, so if he came back, I actually was thinking about this after I said it. I was like, well, I said no because he didn't need to redeem, because there's nothing to redeem if we didn't fall. But yes, because he could show us what the physical manifestation of what true love is. But how he showed us what the physical manifestation of the true love would be was on the cross, which he would not have to do.
Right.
And so then I was like, oh, I kind of...
So Christopher West, for whatever it's worth, also takes that opinion. At least he did in the early 2000s in his 10 CD set, which is most of my exposure to Christopher West. That he was his opinion at the time that he believes that the incarnation was always part of the plan, but because of sin, that's what required his suffering and death. That it's likely, or in his opinion, that the incarnation would not have involved suffering and death before, right? Because there was no death. I don't know. It's a really good question.
And would he have left it 33 years? Would he have stayed on?
Yeah, I mean, would that have been the end of time?
Right.
Or now that there is sin, did he come and now we need time to like participate in our own redemption? I don't know. It seems like it wouldn't have been the end of time, because all people that existed in the mind of God.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, oh, great, I'm going to have to come up with some more people.
Right.
Because at the beginning of creation, God knew what would happen.
Right.
He created this world foreknowing its end.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Is there any comments?
Yeah, I was going to let you know that Father McNavish replied back.
Oh, McNavish.
And he is the priest at the Catholic Center at University of Georgia, Atlanta.
Oh, awesome.
And he said,
Go Bulldogs.
During his, today during my homily, I talked about the Incarnation as a gesture of God's generosity, which continues through the life of Christ into the cross and ultimately continued with the Eucharist as an ongoing generous gift to us.
Boom. Father, totally agree. Yes. And that's the beautiful thing, right? Is that the gift of God gives us the gift of His Son, our Lord Jesus Christ, and sacrificed Him. That He died for all of us, but before He did, He said, like, I'm going to give you myself over and over. I'm going to make myself available to you because I love you so much. I want to give myself to you.
Yeah, I mean, not only did He become incarnate as a man, He also became incarnate in a way as our food.
Right.
It's just absolutely
incredibly beautiful,
humiliating for Him, humbling.
It's beautiful. It's such a gift.
At least humanity is made in His image, so when He becomes one of us, at least He's still in an image of Himself.
Mm-hmm.
But what about bread? As far as I know, bread is not in the image of God, except that some bread actually becomes God, right?
Unleavened.
Yes. And it's not bread anymore at that point.
That's correct.
But
let's not get heretical.
I don't want to do that. Even on accident.
Material or formal.
No, I mean, I definitely
not formal.
Avoid formal. Yeah. So, you ready?
Yeah, let's do it. Is this cool? Wow.
Quattro. Okay. Welcome back to the Catholic Man Show. Avoiding material heresy since 2016. I'm David Niles, here with Adam Minahan. We're talking about the Incarnation, sipping on some Glenmorangie, A Tale of the Forest. So, before the break, I was reading this Respondio of Augustine, talking about
Aquinas.
I do that a lot.
Yes, you do.
Sorry. Well, anyway.
Sometimes I let it slide. Couldn't hear.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
You're setting it up so it needs to be.
No, I appreciate that. And we were talking about whether or not God would have become incarnate if there was no sin. And he says that there are two opinions. One is that he still would have, and one is that he wouldn't have. And then Aquinas says that our assent ought rather to be given to this opinion, meaning that he wouldn't have. For such things as spring from God's will and beyond the creature's due can be made known to us through being revealed in sacred Scripture, in which the divine will is made known to us. Hence, since everywhere in sacred Scripture the sin of the first man is assigned as the reason of the Incarnation, it is more in accordance with this to say that the work of the Incarnation was ordained by God as a remedy for sin, so that, had sin not existed, the Incarnation would not have been. Although the power of God is not limited to this, even had sin not existed, God could have become incarnate.
So he hedges his bets at the end.
Yeah, I mean, because you don't know. There's no way to know. But he leans towards the no, but he doesn't close off either one.
Okay.
Wise and prudent man. So there's some other ones here, but I want to skip them so we can get to theosis.
Ooh, I like theosis.
Yes, me too. So we were kind of talking about this during the break, but, here's what's going on. Adam and Eve, they sinned. When they sinned, they pulled the fruit off of the tree and fell. What is God's response? He says, if that's what you desire, I desire you so much, I will become what you desire in order to save you. So he himself comes and becomes our food and hangs himself on a tree and becomes the fruit of our salvation in a complete undoing of the original sin. He makes himself the thing that we desired in the beginning. All along. So that even in our fallen nature, we might reach for him. It's just so incredibly beautiful.
Yeah.
The ways in which he healed our past on the cross, as a race, as a people. So the point of that is that he is being for us and calling us up, right? That in all other things, when we eat food, it becomes a part of us. That food becomes more like us. And that's because, I would say philosophically, because the things we are consuming are of a lower nature, okay? But when we consume Christ in the Eucharist, we are not consuming bread, we're not consuming flesh, we are consuming a person, a divine person, who is obviously of a higher nature. So when we receive communion especially, we become more like him. Okay, so we're always called towards the higher thing. The higher thing does not come down to the lower. The lower thing,
unless you're Jesus.
The lower thing, well, I mean, he's always remained a higher.
I was just joking.
Higher thing, right?
I know.
Joking. But when philosophical jokes are risky, bro. Okay.
Sometimes they don't land.
People might not know. Wait, is that a joke or not? I'm not sure. So him being of a higher nature, we are called upwards. It's like, well, what if a dog eats a human? It's like, well, a dog actually can't eat a human person. A dog can eat the flesh of a human person, but a dog cannot eat the person. Okay? Like a dog might eat your arm, but he can't eat your personhood.
Your essence.
Yeah, exactly. Which is what we do when we receive the Eucharist. We receive Christ in his full person, body, blood, soul, and divinity.
What prayers do you pray whenever you receive the Eucharist afterwards? Like when you go back to the pew?
My prayers are not typically in words. It's
liturgical dance.
Yeah.
Typically.
Right.
I was wondering, I thought you were having a seizure, but
yeah.
That makes more sense.
That's just my expression.
I
and
see.
it's a gift of the Holy Spirit. I can only dance like that after I receive communion. So this is the point of the Incarnation, is that Christ is showing us what we are called to be. We were talking a little bit about mystics earlier. So if anybody is really like into mystics, there is one, a 17th century mystic, Monsignor Louis Lanau. I don't really know how to pronounce French words.
Can I see?
Laneau. Lanau, maybe?
Yeah, Leno.
Lanau. He wrote a book on the deification of the just.
Wow. Okay.
And it's like his masterpiece, so to speak.
I feel like that's a tough topic to tackle.
Yeah. So he says that we experience this union with Christ in 3 ways, and they're not complicated. He says it's the union of love, union of Eucharist, and union of the Holy Spirit. And so he also calls that a spiritual union. And so those are the 3 ways in which we experience Christ on the cross. So unlike our Protestant, this is where like a major point of theology difference between Protestantism and Catholicism is that in Catholicism we actually believe that we are being perfected in this life. That we're not just being. It's not just like, oh, the Father doesn't look at our unworthiness. All he does is look at his Son on the cross, and he, just kind of gives us a pass. Or, that famous image of Martin Luther about being dung covered by snow, right? You just can't see the dung anymore. That's not what we believe. We believe that at our baptism, this process of deification, which means becoming like God, but becoming God, or theosis is the same, one's Greek, one's Roman, one's Latin, or divine sonship is another thing, is that we are actually adopted into the divine sonship of Christ.
Hashtag Scott Hahn.
Hashtag, well, yeah, it existed before him, but he has really, he's branded well with that. I wish I could say sonship. Like he's just got what a buttery voice. Oh, it's like caramel in your ears. But
which is better than what it sounds like.
Yeah, it's great. Every time I hear him, it's like, oh, what a guy. But that we actually become holy. Not just in like, oh, pretended like we're holy. No, that we are actually transformed, and through the work of grace in our lives, as we participate and grow in relationship with Christ through the saving grace of the sacraments, that we actually become a new creation, which begins principally at our baptism and is affected throughout our lives inasmuch as we choose to participate in the saving work of Christ in our lives. So, I mean, this is a profound difference in doctrine, okay? And so it comes just, it's biblical, okay? So 1 John 3, verse 1 says, "See what love the Father has given us, that we should be called children of God, and that is what we are." He says that is what we are. It's not that what we are like, but that in fact we are children of God, okay? That if you really take time to meditate on the consequences of that verse, that is what we are. We are children of God. We are the sons and daughters of God, like not in the same way that Christ is the Son of God, but that is the sonship that we are participating in.
Right.
So that's a big deal. Another one,
which is why sin is such a horrific, heinous thing, right? Because again, like we were saying, earlier in the show, is that it distorts, and it's a horrible selling of the dignity of who we are for something so much less.
Which is, when you think about that, that was, I think, really the principal suffering of Christ, was an emotional, mental suffering. I was thinking about this just recently, how I realized, like, I'm grateful that I've had my heart broken in my life. Like, there are people out there who've never been in love and had their heart broken, because that was what Christ is suffering in the Garden of Agony. His agony in the garden, that he would love us individually. He loves Adam Minahan so much, and Adam Minahan betrayed him, and that David Niles, he's just absolutely in love with us.
And he'd do it if it was only
Just
for
like
us.
A passionate love.
Right.
And that I betrayed him, right? That is his agony. It's not like he's just really stressed out because he's not worried about the pain on the cross. He's
I think in his human nature he is he is stressed out about that.
But the real suffering was being acutely aware at that moment of every single love of his that betrayed him.
Yeah.
And every single moment, every single betrayal, right? That is the real suffering. I mean, because when you're going through a heartbreak, it's like, yeah, give me a crown of thorns. That would be way better than this agony. And just like think about how pitifully we can love, right?
Right, yeah, and we always we would always choose or at least for me, physical suffering
is way better than that emotional suffering.
Right.
Where you feel like
emotional mental suffering. Yeah.
Yeah. To me that's the worst. I do the other verse to
let's cover this on podcast.
Throw it up. People can go look at it. 2 Peter 14 is another one to look about for theosis.
Okay. We'll continue this.
Keep talking about
on the podcast. Invite somebody to your parish for Christmas.
Yes.
There are a lot of Catholics
That's
that never step foot into your parish. So invite them to attend Christmas with you. We're on the Lord's team.
The winning side.
So raise your glass.
Cheers to Jesus.
Cheers. I just want to give a shout out to my to our pastor, Father Brian.
Awesome pastor.
Father Brian Brooks, who's been on the show before. He's talking about confession. A great one to go back.
In fact, one of our most popular episodes.
Maybe, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean it has. I think it is in our top 10 as far as downloads.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he came up with putting business cards that inviting people.
Said you're invited.
You're invited, and gave the mass times for Christmas, and asked all the parishioners to take some home to give them out to people.
That was their job. Yeah.
I love it. I took a handful. I'm gonna do my best to give those out.
Someone said this recently, and I don't remember who I heard it from, so I'm just gonna pretend like it's my idea. Everybody kind of gets upset about, because you've got your pew, I have my pew. Okay, I get it. We all have our own pew, and sometimes people like you shouldn't have your own pew. But it's like, yeah, you know what? I'll bet you've got your own pew, Mr. Guy, who's telling me not to have my own pew. I'll bet you sit in the same spot every time. So don't act like you don't have a pew.
We're creatures of habit.
I have a pew. However, someone was saying like, hey, this Christmas, there's going to be people who come to Mass, right? There's the Christmas and Easter Catholics, and we're happy that they're there, okay? So hopefully you don't get to sit in your pew, right? Hopefully there are so many people at your parish that, your regular pew gets taken and you have to sit somewhere else. What a blessing that, hey, there's something about your parish that has made that many people want to come
and you get to get, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so if that happens to you, like, don't be upset. Be grateful.
Right, I agree.
That, hey, these people, we're glad that they're here, and hopefully they come back, right?
Right, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we want to be as hospitable as possible to everybody who may be entering into the Catholic doors for the first time in a long time.
Because when people are surveyed, it's stuff like that is the reason why they'll go to a church once and never come back. Right. Because, nobody welcomed me. Or why is it that you left the Catholic Church and went to the Protestant church? Well, I went there with a friend of mine, and I was welcomed. People came up to me, and it felt like a home,
Right.
And so much of the time, when people are entering or leaving the faith, doctrine has nothing to do with it. It's human experience.
Human experience, absolutely. I totally agree.
So, you got to be conscious of that.
I totally agree.
So, speaking of human experience, let's go back to let's just wrap up some things in the Incarnation before we.
Okay.
And then after that, if we want to wander, we can.
Okay.
Okay, so I want to just go back to these. There's two verses that I thought were very good for biblical backing up of this doctrine of theosis or deification.
Okay.
2 Peter 1 verse 4 says, "Thus he has given us, though these things, his precious and very great promises, so that through them you may escape from the corruption that is in the world because of lust, and may become participants of the divine nature. Okay, so that you may become participants of the divine nature. Now, your nature isn't divine. That's the thing. Your nature is not divine. You have a human nature. You are a human person. You are not a divine person. Christ has a divine nature and a human nature. He had to take on our human nature, but he did it so that he became like us so that we might become more like him. And so that in heaven, we will become gods, so to speak, with like a lowercase g.
Not Mormon-like.
Not like the Mormons.
Right.
It's so funny when you look at some of these other religions, the things that they believe. It's like, you know what? You are reaching towards something that's true, but you got it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also funny how every single like heresy or false religion, when you boil it down, they're exactly the same thing. They are all doing what happened that Adam and Eve did. You will become like God. That's what Satan said. You won't die. You'll become like God. Okay, so you just look at all of these religions, and at their core,
mm-hmm.
that's what they're trying to do: become like God. Whether it's be the arbiter of truth in their own lives, just like me and my Bible, I'm going to decide what's true and what's not. Or you bring up the Church of Latter-day Saints, the Mormons. They literally believe that if you live a good life, you will become God of your own planet. And that Jesus was just a dude who lived a good life who happens to be the God of our planet. You know, and if you do well, you can also be like Jesus and be the God of your own planet. Well, it's like, see, they're also doing the same thing. They're reaching for this, like, you will become like God.
Would be cool.
Sort of. I mean, like,
but
I don't know. I don't know what it means. Yeah. I don't even know what it means. It doesn't matter. So, anyway, that you will take on, what did I say it was, like the exact wording? That you will become participants of the divine nature. So that's the importance of the incarnation. That's what it means in your life. This is what it means to participate in the life of grace,
mm-hmm.
Which we do principally through the sacraments. So if you're not frequenting the sacraments, this is what you're missing out on. This is like going to mass more regularly. This is what you're getting. You're literally becoming like God by submitting yourself in reception. You have to have the right attitude. You need to be receptive of the gift. We can't snatch. Equality with God is not something to be grasped at. I know someone who said that. And so we need to just receive it as a gift, but it is a gift that, God is desperately wanting us to receive.
That's true. So much so that he died for us.
Yeah.
And then gave himself for us to eat.
Unexpected move, I think. In the grand scheme of history, it's like, did not see that coming.
It's such a beautiful gift.
I think we should have, when you look at all the things that the prophets told us in the Old Testament, and all the things that the Jewish people believed about the manna, it actually isn't surprising, and I think that's why you had the Jewish people converting, thousands and thousands at a time. But, like, oh, God becoming man, okay, wow, big deal. And then becoming our food, it's like unexpected.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing.
It's like our daily bread.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add?
No, I mean, I think you did a wonderful job.
Oh, thank you.
On the importance of the incarnation.
So 2 books to go check out.
Okay.
On the Deification of the Just by Monsignor Louis Leno,
mm-hmm.
and The Life of Mary as Seen by the Mystics. Oh, and apparently, is it called The Life of Joseph as Seen by the Mystics?
I don't remember what it's called, but if you just go to...
By Thigpen.
Yeah, Paul Thigpen from TAN, the publisher of TAN.
Right. Some good books.
Also, like, the Vatican II documents are phenomenal in this aspect of understanding, like, the Incarnation and the importance of the Incarnation. If you look at Veritas Splendor, if you look at even the book we were just talking, or the encyclical we just talked about, which isn't a Vatican II document, but John Paul II, his first encyclical, really hones in on what it means for Christ to enter into the world and the history, like the importance of that in history.
Yeah. One last thing.
Okay.
We're going to be doing Exodus 90 coming up pretty soon.
Correct. Yes.
It's like you think, oh, you're enjoying Christmas. That is like I think that is one.
I'm actually very excited about doing Exodus 90 this year.
I am not very. I will just have to be honest. Not very excited about it. But you know what? That's not unusual.
I'm extremely excited. I just feel like
one major. Like I wish it didn't start during Christmas season. But
January 9th.
Well, maybe it's not this year.
It's not the octave.
It depends on how long you want to, like, how long do you keep your Christmas tree up? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it also depends when Easter is.
Right.
Depends on when it starts. But I'm not excited about it. But that's not unusual. That's not unusual. It's like one of those things that literally every day when I take a hot shower, I think about.
Soak this in.
It's coming up. It's coming up. Also, you know what I noticed? Since I've moved, in my last house, the master bedroom was upstairs. I have become convinced that cold showers upstairs are not as cold as they are downstairs. Because the pipes aren't running through the cold earth, until they come right out of the shower. That they kind of go through the warm house for a while.
Welcome.
Yeah, I take cold showers, as part of my ongoing penance for my many, 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 many sins. And since I've moved, the cold showers have been like, oh man, that just bites a little more, I think.
Yeah.
So
I'm ready. I'm excited. I'm excited for the order. I just feel like I'm like just spiritually I have order, but I'm ready for more structured order. So that's what
I
I'm
just
really
need more
excited
discipline.
about.
I just need discipline of my appetites.
So I'm excited about that.
And I
also like
I do okay. But
I'm very much
more.
I'm very much like you, where when we have rules set,
I can do them.
Then
I can follow a rule.
Then I follow them. Yeah.
If I decide to do it, I'm just going to do it because I decided.
Right. I also, I have let just my workouts slip recently. Not recently, like the last month and a half. I have not been really working out.
Yeah.
Hardly at all. I've been getting up early, but been reading and things like that, not working out.
Yeah.
And so I'm really excited about forcing myself to go start working out again.
Yeah.
So.
Very good.
Dizzy Lizzy, they were online earlier.
Oh, Elizabeth Schroeder, Dizzy Lizzy. She's the one who makes all of the Christmas cookies for our patrons.
What's her website? Do you know her website?
She doesn't have one, but if you look it up on Facebook,
Okay.
Dizzy Lizzy Cupcakery.
Cupcakery or cakery?
Cupcakery.
Thank you. They're delicious.
Check it out.
Merry Christmas, everyone.